Welcome to From Rock Bottom, the podcast where we explore real stories of struggle, survival, and strength. Each weekly episode features honest conversations with people who faced mental health battles, addiction, trauma, and life's darkest moments, and found a way to rise again. A quick content warning: some of the topics we discuss may be distressing or triggering. We talk openly about mental health, addiction, and other sensitive issues. Please listen with care, and if you need to, take a break or reach out for support. You're not alone, and this space is here to remind you of that.
Boom, and we are on. Today I'm joined by Chris Booth, and he's going to share with us his story of a life of crime, led to 14 years in prison across different sentences, and how he's faced death on numerous occasions, not only at the hands of others, but also at the hands of himself. Boofy, how are you doing?
Yes, Andy, I'm good this morning, brother. How are you? Nice one for the invite.
Mate, I'm very well. It's the Christmas special. It's Boxing Day now.
Yeah, well, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas in
no
October.
hangovers, it's a bonus.
Yeah,
no hangovers.
Yes. But now, mate, thank you for travelling. I have been looking forward to this.
Nice one, brother.
Well, mate, just like everyone, because you have got an insane life.
Yeah, there's locks, bolts, bars, few scars, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
All colours of the rainbow, I like to say. All
Exactly
colours of the
that.
rainbow.
Just like everyone, mate, I like to start from the start, from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to your childhood.
So, should we go right back, like Portsmouth back?
Portsmouth days.
Right, so we go. I grew up in Portsmouth, so on two council estates. One was called Paul's Grove and one was called Lee Park. Pretty much grew up in a biker community, to be honest. And my dad was a part of the biker club down that way. So I got memories of growing up. There's two houses with the walls knocked through, the electrics being run off a milk flow. There's bikers everywhere. You got some of them who've got the long hair and they've got the ironing board out and ironing their hair to try and make it straight before the days of straighteners and all that type of stuff. Bits and bobs of motorbikes being everywhere and all that type of stuff. But I also remember it not being a bad place, you know. I can't remember. I've got no bad memories, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
not from that stage, anyway.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy.
So you grew up around, was these criminals?
Well, I'd
Had the fingers in?
well, I'd say that, yeah, because it's the club fraternity, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know, I should imagine some of them might have had some sort of jobs, but it was the 80s. It was Portsmouth, and it was pretty much a criminal background, to be quite honest.
So you grew up around carnage?
It's mad that I should say that, because I don't, looking back now I'm a bit older and I've got a bit more awareness, you think, is that an environment for like a little one, you know? But it just seemed the norm.
That was normal, yeah.
There was a lot of chaos and carnage. Yeah, there was a lot of chaos and carnage. Two big words in my life.
And do you think you, growing up seeing that chaos and carnage, then changed your outlook on life as you got older, like that's normality?
I think it made it more acceptable because it was learnt behaviour.
You're more okay with it, you can deal with it mentally.
Yeah, I did. Once upon a time, I had to get some reports done to try minimalise some charges of something that happened in jail in Stoke Heath, and I had to have the psychiatrist and that come in, and I went through a bit of a backstory, not a backstory, but back history of like life and what I seen and what was acceptable and all that type of stuff. And he said that there was like a violent, like social sort of like not right in my head, like a disorder type of thing. So for instance, one of the questions he asked me is, what's one of the earliest memories like when you were with your dad? And I says, I remember being on the front garden and being cheeky to the older lads in Portsmouth, and one of them chucked a stone at my head, because I was obviously chucking stones at them because I was a little shit, and so they chucked one back. It's hit me in my head and it's cut my head, so I've gone into my dad and I've been crying. Oh Dad, they've chucked a stone, my head's bleeding. I can remember at the time, it's when you used to have a big black bucket and then they'd have a giant sponge in, and people used to go around cleaning cars, like all the kids on the estate. Oh, I'm going around washing cars, I'm going to get some money and all that type of stuff. I can remember it being a big massive yellow sponge. I remember my dad calling me in, he's got this sponge out, he's dabbing my head and that, and he's sat me on a doorstep waiting for these kids to go back past again and then maybe fight one on the front lawn. Do you know what I mean? These kids were like, maybe, I don't know how much older than me, because I don't know for a fact, but they were definitely older than me. And he said, yeah, so then really what you've been growing up to do is just to accept that is the way, that sometimes that is the way to sort things out. Yeah. You know, is just by basically rolling around and getting a bit messy, like.
Yeah, it's kind of teaching you to meet violence with violence instead of talking it through and thinking about it.
And like, I don't think my dad wouldn't have known what was coming my way, you know, like with the jail and with the life and that I did lead. But it's sort of like he was preparing me without knowing, you know, because I did go down that road, and I sort of like, I suppose it has helped me out as well as it's got me into absolutely like a lot of trouble as well. It's also got me out of a lot of situations. Yeah. So it's been good and it's been bad.
But if he's grown up in that life and that's all he knows, that's all he knows how to teach you.
To be fair, like with my house, I wasn't from a family, brother, you know, like where I get a slap. Yeah, I wasn't from a family where you get a slap. I wasn't from a family where I'd see like my there was like violence in the house. This would happen to my mum, or arguments and all that type of stuff. That was never the case. But I was in a family where it was accepted that you could go out and you could get into a bit of trouble that way. You know, like my mum and dad. They grew up in Catholic children's homes back in the 70s and you know that type of stuff, the early 70s, and there was some bad stuff happening in them children's homes there. And my granddad Booth, he was the man that used to fight in the ring on the circus. He was a very violent man. So like, my dad didn't go learn behaviour with that, you know, because he had that in his household, and all that bad shit used to happen to my dad. He then decided for that not to happen in his house. But then I think sometimes, well, I don't think, I know, sometimes I did deserve a slap, brother, because I was naughty, you know. So then, but because of what happened in my dad's life and in my mum's life, they chose for it not to be that way. Yeah. And then when that doesn't happen, that then starts the thing of you can pretty much get away with what you want to get out with. So in a way, I was spoilt with love. And then that spoiled turned me into a spoiled little shit, but not in the sense where I had all the best clothes and I had all the thingy. Spoiled in the sense where I knew I could get away with stuff. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I wasn't one that had all the best clothes and that at school. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you used to go out and get them. There'd be no punishment.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah. So
you actually do. Yeah, you do.
So growing up, your mum and dad was loving, nice. Yeah. Upbringing in terms of, you know, family values and love, but outside of all that, it was just crime your dad was involved in.
Wow, so then I've always known there to be some sort of crime in the house, you know, I've always, and like...
What about drinking drugs? Was that ever
involved? There's none of that there. There was no, like you see, speak to some people that have had addiction issues, or they've ended up having problems with alcoholism, or they've ended up having problems with drugs and all that, because that's come from their family. That didn't come from my family. My mum would have a baby sham. She don't drink now. One baby sham, you know, over Christmas. She hasn't just had one, but she would have had. You know, there will always be 4 little blue baby shams in the fridge. And I'd be like, bloody hell, there your mum's, it's Christmas. Dad doesn't drink. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't do nothing like that. He's never been involved with any drugs that could cause any type of addiction. Yeah, there was a bit of weed floating around the place and all that type of stuff. But it's a biking community. But I've never really myself. I know it does lead on to other things, but I wasn't brought up to look at that as it being a
never
bad
exposed
thing.
To it. Yeah.
No, it wasn't about all that. So for me then to go down that road, it was my own choices and my own decisions and the environment that I put myself in, I feel. But maybe I might have put myself in that environment because it was accepted at home. It was accepted at home. And some of my friends now have been my friends for 40 years. Yeah, and we've done a few bits and bobs in the past, that's all I'm going to say. So they've not all been bad. But I did surround myself with a lot of people that were bad-minded and had bad ways, you know. Yeah, I did, to be honest.
As the old saying goes, Booth, if you hang about with 4 criminals, you're going to be the 5th one. Hang about with 4 lads who go to the gym.
it's mad you should say that, and the gym, because I was actually at the gym yesterday. I won't mention his name, but there's a brother that's just got out. He's just served quite a long time, and he lives in a particular area. And he says, I want to move out of the area. And I got speaking to him, and he said, because I've got such and such to the right of me, such and such to the left of me, think he lives over the road. So then, how am I meant to change my ways? How am I not meant to cop another sentence where there's double figures?
Yeah.
And so then I just do, a big scripture says, if it don't produce fruit, chop it off and chuck it in the fire. You know, everybody understands that.
Yeah.
If you're a tree and you've got bad fruit on your tree, then you're not going to keep it on the tree. You're going to chop it off and chuck it away. But then I didn't really get the understanding about all that till later on in life. I just literally was a thorn amongst thorns.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes you do need a wake-up call to realise messages and what it actually means, which I know we'll talk about yours.
Got a few messages.
Yeah.
I've had a few.
Yeah, you live in Portsmouth,
Yeah.
and you moved to Telford. What age was that?
So we moved down to Telford. That would have been in 1988. So then, when I moved down, I still had my accent. I was still like, all right, mate, yeah, what's going on, and all like that. So I was already a target as soon as I hit.
Yeah.
So the estate that I grew up on in Montgomery in Telford is called Hurley Brookway. It's not as bad now, but back in the 90s and the late 80s, it was called Hurley Bronx Way. So it's pretty much come from a council estate in Portsmouth to just as it is worse in Portsmouth, I'll give it that, but just the same sort of thing. So then I was a bit of a target, to be honest, because I had a different accent.
Yeah.
I was little. When I had hair, it was bloody blonde hair. Do you know what I mean? Before my halo started coming through, and so yeah, I pretty much went from fighting on the lawn at Portsmouth with a sponge to straight back in it again in Montgomery, you know. But then, you know, as you have a few fights, you make a few friends, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, so
How long did that take for you to settle in there?
I probably by the time I started going to infant school, I was making friends. I was quite lucky because, well, I say lucky. I had a friend that used to live opposite me, and he was little. He had red hair, and my dad said, "Oh, there's 3 things he's going to be. He's either going to be really fast, really funny, or a bit of a psychopath." And he ended up being a bit of all 3. I says, "Why is that, Dad?" He says, "Because he's got red hair, and we're going to be chasing him around all day. He's going to be hilarious, or he's going to end up being a bit nutty and bolty." So then that was my first little friendship that I made. And he's away at the moment. He's doing quite a long time, but I would say we're not the best of friends no more, but we call ourselves frenemies. So there's been a few bits and bobs through life, but we're still mates. Like I'd still be there for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was my first little friendship on the manor, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He kicked me out of a tree once. Actually, nearly bloody killed me. He was scratching our names with our little Swiss Army knives. You know, the ones that's got everything, little the toothpick and all that. So and he's a bit of an artist. He is. He holds his pencil like in a mad way like that. But he's a mad artist. Anyway, scratching our names in the tree, and then I've gone, yeah. I said, look, mine's better than yours. Blah blah. I called him by his name. I said, mine's better than yours. He's gone, oh yeah, is it? Kicked me out the tree. Luckily, I landed in the little pond in his mum's garden, so the water broke my fall a little bit. But that could have been the end of Boovie then. Do you know what I mean? For scratching my name in the tree. So yeah. There's always a story. There's a story to everything.
Of course,
it's like it's not EastEnders Coronation Street. It's real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you moved to Telford. What was your dad like at this period? Still dipping his toe in?
Well, when we first moved to Telford, within about 18 months. I might be wrong because I was young. Because it might be a bit longer or a bit shorter. But then that's when my dad then went to jail for another time, but then whilst we was in Telford, so obviously police come around the house, busted the house, blah blah blah, and then Dad went off them for another 6 years. So then and then he came out, he'd done another little bit more time on remand, then he stayed out of jail for a bit of time, like a good decade, and then they got involved with all sorts. But that was them really when it just become me and my mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my mum become my dad and my mum. She's the bloody rock of the family. They don't talk to me now. That's for my own doing. But she's the rock of the family. Do you know what I mean? She's from Portsmouth, and so she's hard-faced. She'd tell you to piss off and won't feel no way about it. There used to be the joke of it, the lads used to say when we was growing up, they used to shout up and say, "Is your dad in?" And say, you know, when my dad got out of jail, because they all knew my dad was alright, they called him Geezer. Everyone calls him Geezer because he gets on with everyone. So, "Is your dad there?" I said, yeah. Dad's there. So, "Oh, we knock the door then." "Is your mum definitely not in?" So, yeah, because they knew what my mum was like. When, say for instance, when dad was away, mum would do loads of hours, you know, to work, to make sure we got hours, so like 12, 13 hours in factories, doing all sorts of jobs that I couldn't imagine doing myself, but she done it because that's what she's like. So then, if we wanted to bunk school, we bunked school at my mum's house because there'd always be nobody there.
Yeah.
And then you see a little Renault 5 pull up on a drive, and I'd have to go, "Mum's here!" See about 20 lads jumping over the back fence, going through the fence to make sure they're not in the house when my mum's there. She's a diamond. So then that's pretty much like when, then I was just visiting my dad in jail.
How was that for you, seeing, like, knowing you? Do you know what I mean? Especially being young, you're going to see dad in prison and you can't stay with him and you can't come back with him.
It's shit, but I tell you, it's like...
Like, did you know, like, fully, like, even at a young age, like, he's in prison?
Yeah, I know 100% knew he was in jail. He wasn't bloody going to war or anything.
Yeah.
He wasn't working away. He wasn't on an oil rig. Like, my mum, pretty much, like, oh, I knew. She was straight with me, you know. It was shit. I'm not gonna lie, it was shit. But the worst of it is like when you go to school and you're in junior school and stuff like that, and then the kids find out that your dad's in jail, because then it's your dad's got a stripy suit, your dad's got a ball and chain. And so then I'll go back and I'll tell my mum. I say, "They're saying this about dad, mum, and you know what I mean, they're picking on me because my dad's in jail, blah, blah, blah." And then because of the way that the family's always been about it, and well, you don't let them say that, Chris. If they're picking on you, then you give them a bang, like, you know. You know, so that wasn't looked at as bullying. That was looked at as sticking up for yourself. And then I get into loads of trouble because of that. You know, because a lot of kids tried to fucking say whatever and be a certain way because my dad was in jail. So then my dad would come out on a home leave or a town visit if he's getting near the end of his sentence. And he's in a different, you know, environment, like a different cat. And then instead of him, like my mum going saying, "He's been kicked out of another school, blah, 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 he's been in another fight, he's been in that." Because my dad's been away for so long, and I've only really seen him on visits, he doesn't want to get out and then be that dad, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Let's get out and say, "Well, it's alright, son, it's another fight." Straight back to the garden in Portsmouth. Do you know what I mean? Get out there, do your thing. I mean, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. So, it was shit, you know. But then, I say it's shit, but then the ownership of it is, brother, is then I put my kids through that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, thanks be that, you know, I haven't been back for a good few years now, but my kids had to come and visit me. My kids had to know their dad was in jail. So then, I feel away and probably hold some stuff, you know, not any sort of bad stuff, but I know it did affect me. But then I chose to put my kids through that as well, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep stuff, to be honest.
Do you think just because, like, you went through it and it was seen as okay and normal, then when you got to that point, it's just okay and normal again?
Yeah.
Obviously, hindsight's a different thing.
I think like with me, I knew how my mum looked after me when my dad was away, and to be fair, I knew the woman, like, obviously we've not been together for years, she's an amazing woman, it's been decades, but I knew she was a good mum to my kids. So, sort of like thought, well, my mum looked after me, they'd be alright as well.
And for you, you're a career criminal and going to prison's part and parcel. Yeah,
it is, but then it's not till you actually, you have the time and you sit in that 6x9 cell. And you know, after doing fucking, I don't know, 12 of the 14, no, say 11 of the 14, not straight back, but all different sentences.
Yeah.
So like on my last sentence, when I decided to, like, enough's enough. When you sit there and you think about, you know, the times when we've had one of the boys, so my kids are 23, 28 now. So then, but when they're little and they're sat on the bench outside somewhere, and they'll be like, "Don't worry, Dad's not going back to jail." And I understand, because they're getting into a lot of trouble at school as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling them that I understand why they're getting into trouble into school. I'm going to be here for you. And then next thing you're gone again. It's like, that is some of the stuff that made me think, right, you need to fix the fuck up, Chris. You know, you need to stand up and own your shit. You need to be truthful with yourself, and you need to own it. You know, I had to be truthful about some shit stuff, and that's what we don't do as human beings. You know, as soon as a bit of truth comes to the table, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Fuck that. No, that wasn't me. And we start diverting it. Oh, it was them. It was this. It was this. It was that. Well, really, it starts with us.
Accountability.
Yeah, it starts with a thought, an action, and a direction. Doesn't start with fucking thingy at the end of the street, or whoever said, "Oh, let's go do a graft." They said, "Let's go do a graft," but we decided to go do it. You know, or should we go get wrecked? Well, you said it, but I decided to come. So you know, when you start owning stuff a bit, and I think what we do as people is we swerve away from ownership. We swerve away from truth, and another big one is we find it hard to forgive people and ourselves. You know. But them are two of the things that set you free, but I believe is truth and forgiveness.
I've said numerous times, like, I ain't always been straight and clean and honest and loyal, but it's about accountability, throwing your hands up saying, yeah, I fucked up, and I'm going to try and learn from it.
Exactly.
I might not, but at least I tried.
And then, if you can somehow take enough goodness out of that bad situation, you know, well, so-called bad situation, and somehow bring some good to it, that's where the power is. So, for instance, for me, we say, you've heard it, I've said it a lot about the 2-second decisions, and about how long it got me in the system. So you're like, so how are you going to get some goodness from those 2-second decisions that cost you all that time in jail? Basically, there's the bag of sorrows. So then how am I meant to start getting godly? How am I meant to turn them sorrows into joy? Everybody seems to think they're walking around, you know, that if it's your sorrows and your joy to have. No, what happens if your sorrows are someone else's joy? So what happens if you can educate and be a part of the process of helping people to make better decisions, or giving them some awareness, giving them some understanding about that shit place you was in, and they don't take that road? That's them making, you took enough goodness out of that, and that's where the saying comes, like what we use it in the Breath of Life: give back, get back. You know, you give it back to someone, they get back something from it. You know,
teaching from your bad experiences.
Yeah, just having to think then about being on the garden, about visiting my dad. You know, you may have to go there sometimes. The doors are open, not just ajar, just to know where you come from. You know.
Right. So you're in Telford. Your dad's in and out of prison. You're just fighting. You know what I mean? Normal boy stuff.
Yeah.
When does it start to progress from just simple school fighting, again kicked out of school? Like, what's the next step?
Well, I didn't really finish school, to be quite honest. It started, the fighting carried on at school. All the schools in Telford are quite close, so on a dinner time you can bugger off and get back and arrange a fight. And then because you've been doing that, you work around the schools. So I think, to be honest, I went to 2 infant schools, 3 junior schools, and I'd have to take my socks off to count. Yeah, but I went to easily probably 8 or 9 secondary schools, and then by the time I got to my last school, 15, that's when I first got locked up. So then it was pretty much fighting. We'd go out on the night time, we might bloody do a little graft here and there to get a little bit of extra pocket money, so we can say that we're staying at a mate's house, but we're not really, we're parked up, so we're not in a car, but we're somewhere else doing what you shouldn't be doing when you're 14 and 15, you know. It was fighting up until we had some sort of product, and still we got involved in the drug game properly, not properly even, just selling it.
Yeah.
You know, we wasn't bloody, there's some people in Telford that made some serious money doing whatever they're doing. We wasn't on that level, but at the time, we was projecting in the early 90s, you know. But then a lot of people got locked up for intense supply and all that, and then before you know it, the Bandit Brothers sort of got disbanded. And when it got disbanded in '97, what happened then is, then obviously what always happens, if one group goes, another group comes in, you know.
Yeah.
And then, see, it was the drugs, anything that fucked my life up. The fighting and that, I could have probably just got through, and I probably, you know, it would have just been fighting. But then when you mix drugs into that whole scenario, you then go from accepting violence to be accepting violence with an addiction. Which
what age did the drugs come into it for you?
Hardcore drugs started for me at about, well, it's a typical story, weed, going out, raving, all that, but then to get to the point of Class A's, about 19, but then from the age of, when I got out of jail off my first sentence, I was nearly 17, then I got straight out to a phone, because what the lads were getting up to, my friends were a bit older, so I got straight out to a phone in a flat where we had acros, top, middle and bottom, from the flat door to the back thing in a high-rise flat, so you know you got the big, massive concrete at the back.
Yeah.
The police come, they can't take that door off. Got CCTV facing the lift, CCTV facing down the stairs, so you can see if the squad and that come up, and basically serving through a letterbox. Do you know what I mean? And that's in 1999, bro.
Yeah.
I was 17, serving through a letterbox, and literally travelling up and down the motorway to pick bits and bobs up. You know, we go to Nottingham, and Nottingham was our main place. We go there, we pick up. You shouldn't be doing that at 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point where people were like worried about like 50p's and that and pounds, and they were like saying, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get you that money, man. I'll have it next time." Like it was gonna bother you, you know, that they were a pound or 50p short. I can remember sitting down to one of my mates and going, "Why are they so bothered about 50p and a pound? It's a pound, it's 50p." And the conversation, what is this stuff, man? What does it do, man? What are they feeling to feel like that they have to get the money?
Yeah.
And before you know it, sat down, and the fucking night turned into 2 days, and then I was introduced to fucking Class A drugs. And from then, the lads started to selling it. I got very fucking unreliable, because I stumbled at the first step, don't get high on your own supply. I got very, very unreliable, and stuff got a little bit lighter and stuff like that. Yeah. But luckily these are my friends, so I didn't go on the missing list. I just got a good fucking, you know, my heart was hurting and what they were saying, but I'm their mate, so they're like, fucking hell, baby. And then from that, got involved with like drug related crime. So we go out and there'd be decent high level thefts, there'd be commercial burglaries, there'd be car key burglaries, there'd be robberies, there'd be people that were getting turned over and we was just turning up and you just see our eyes, because then that's when the violence, it was accepted, you know.
It's just to feed the drug habit for you?
And to live.
Yeah.
And to live. You know, I tried to, even though you think you look alright, you don't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You still look like Pete Doherty on a bad day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you think you look alright because you've got some half decent clothes on, and because you've had a shower and you brushed your teeth that morning, you think it's acceptable to become that wreckhead, when really it's not. You're fucking destroying yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically what's happening.
Yeah.
And the crime literally, from a young age, it just evolved, and it was taking one direction. It was going down the bad road of violence, you know, where just some crazy stuff happened, and then you mix a drug into it, and then all of a sudden, then you're in the world of drugs and the world of violence, and you somehow you got a hold that you've got this addiction, you know. So then what do you do then? What you do then is you then smoke more drugs to forget about it. You smoke more drugs to forget about the chaos and carnage it caused. You smoke more drugs to forget about them people that you fucking lied to, them people that you've been deceitful to. You know, that's the real side of addiction. Because you don't want to own it. You don't want to own that stuff. It's easy just to go out and get smashed, you know.
I've said it numerous times, mate. Like, you have to look at drug addicts and see, not, they could be shoplifting, robbing from people, but look why they're taking the drugs in the first place. What are they burying? What are they masking? Deal with them issues, and then perhaps then they'll find it easier to drop the drugs.
Well, what we say at Breath for Life, that's the men's mental health company that we've got between a few of the brothers now. We've got a few members. Is if they come and they say, "Oh, we're taking this, we're taking that," and they're sniffing, a lot of sniff. You don't get a lot of people. Not a lot of people like to own certain things, and like people won't. I don't know about yourself, but I know a lot of people out there that have sat down and smoked a pipe, but they won't say nothing about it. It's all hush hush. But then they're more than socially acceptable for them to be stuck in a cubicle all day sticking cocaine in their nose. But then as soon as you mix some bicarb or a bit of ammonia with it, all of a sudden you're up there with the nonces and the rapists. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
The hierarchy of drugs.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like there is a hierarchy now. Addiction's addiction. Yeah, it's just because it's the whole word as well, isn't it? Crack. You've got crack and you've got cocaine. Cocaine sounds all glamorous and all that. Crack, something in a pavement, something in the back of your ass.
Yeah.
So it's got that, it's related to that, ain't it? I don't think enough people out there own that shit, I'll be honest with you. They don't. I'm thankful for the people around me that do, and they're the people that make a difference. But I think there's some really big players out there, that have been involved with life. If they brought a bit of ownership to the table, they could make a fucking amazing difference. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
With the hierarchy of drugs, I think because how people looked at it as, you see crack, then you see most crackhead users are the ones wandering the streets begging for money, and they are 6 stone wet through.
Yeah, 100%.
They're a mess. I think that's why people associate that as embarrassment.
I suppose because what you can't see is a mess inside someone's head that's using cocaine. Yeah. Because these people might look like a mess on the outside and they're a mess on the inside, but then with the cocaine, what happens is they're still going to work, they're still bloody keep paying it, they're still managing to keep it all together.
Functioning drug addicts.
Yeah. But then in the head, it's just as messy as the
of course,
crack.
Yeah.
So it's like some scripture that relates to that. We're at war with what we can't see and not what we can see. So that to me says our thoughts and our feelings. Yeah. So it's what we think, it's what we're thinking about ourselves in our head, and what we're feeling, the people that we are, that then leads to the chaos and the carnage. So it started off me just sitting down and having one pipe. Yeah, and then that one pipe led to another. And then that pipe led to me being deceitful, and that pipe led me to having a lot of victims, and that pipe led me to another jail sentence, and then that pipe led me to hurting somebody else. So then what happens then is you got to get rid of all that. So that's your thoughts and your feelings. That then makes you feel like a bad person. That makes you then feel that you're worth shit. That makes you feel that you're not being the person that you are meant to be. And then because you can't get a hold of it because the addiction's got you so fucking deep, brother, you just end up carrying on doing it. So it don't matter really, I'm already here.
Yeah, everything out of the hole.
No, and you know how I usually get out of the hole when you're in addiction like that? The truth of it, I'm here to be truthful, bro. So then the truth of it is, you go back to jail, and then you say, right, we're gonna go again, and I'm gonna get out, and this time I'm not gonna do it.
Use jail as a reset.
Yeah, well, bro. Yeah. And then what happens is, you'll get out, do exactly the same fucking thing. And it just become a revolving door. And all the time you're doing that, this rucksack on your back of regrets, the rucksack of all the bad shit that we carry around as, addicts, ex-addicts, anything like that, that rucksack just gets heavier and heavier and heavier to a point where that rucksack gets so heavy, it's either going to be the drugs that kills you or you kill yourself. And that's the sad thing about it, because your mind gets the better of you, or the drugs get the better of you. And I've nearly had the two get the better of me. Thanks be, I'm still here. And that's why I can sit here and talk about that, because I've got an awareness and an understanding about that, So it's not like I'm saying, saying that I've got an awareness and understanding what it's like to be in them trenches. So I'm not just on about the trenches of addiction, when you think, you know, that you haven't got no one. When your mind's playing it, fucking the better off you. When you feel that you're worth like shit. I've been there, bro, man. Yeah, with addiction. If you've done something, I say to the lads when they come to the talking circle and they're sharing, you know, they're being a certain way because of the cocaine. And I can see how they're feeling about it. She says, do you know how I take the power out of that? I bring them a story about my crack life. It makes them feel better.
Yeah.
I can guarantee, whatever you've done on the sniff, I could bring a story that make you feel not better about that, but give you an awareness there's a darker side. And then that bit of darkness then makes that dark into a little bit of light. So like, fucking hell, I sat there feeling bad because, you know, I didn't manage to pay the electric bill, or I was meant to go out with the kids at the weekend and I didn't. Well, you wasn't meant to go out with the kids at the weekend. I sat down, told my lad, my youngest, Leighton, on a fucking Monday, don't worry, I'm not going back to jail. I know how you feel, son. I give him a hug, I kissed him on his head. I meant it in my heart. The next day I got arrested and went to jail for 3 years. You know? So at least you managed to come back on the Monday. You know? So yeah, we've got a similar sort of, but just to let you know, I understand how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe everything that's happened, you know, it's not a coincidence, it's prepping me, you know, prepping me and equipping me with the awareness, with the understanding, not to go out and be fucking Pablo Escobar either, to go out and to give back, you know. There's been some mad stuff has happened.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I know a lot of your story, 100%. We will come to it. But we'll go back.
Go on.
Kicked out of schools with 15, the first prison sentence.
Yeah, so that was, first one would have been a robbery charge, basically 15 years old, loads in New Jack City, loads of menace to society, juice on the TV on repeat, on a VHS, probably a Betamax video, you know, the cassettes, all sat there, all wanting to be that guy, you know, the next whatever. So we put a job together to go turn over our local post office, all in the same suits, all in the same shoes, found all the blind spots.
Very professional.
It was
15 as well.
It was good. Well, I smile about it, but that's the wrong message. So I smile about it because when I look back on it now, I think, yeah, but at the time it was a learned behaviour, but not from people, from basically the learned behaviour can come in through your ears and through your eyes. If your eyes are the window to your soul, it's what you let in there. If you're sat down all day watching murder, kill, you're sat down listening to murder, kill at the end of, through your ears, eventually you're going to feel like doing that to someone.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting down watching all these gangster movies and you're and everyone and these people that are doing really nice, not from working, eventually you're going to think, that's a fucking great idea. So then, yeah, we had the blue suits, we went in, so obviously shop closes at a certain time, shop's got a post office in there, so if you pull the shutters down at like 10 minutes before it's about to close, people just come off and go, oh, they closed early. But no, we was in there doing what we was doing. And then afterwards, where it happened, there's a lot of underpasses. So then, under my mate, so he's got like the overalls on like this, under his overalls, he was a full cyclist. So he had the cycling top on, so much he had the band around his arm and all that type of stuff. Cycling shorts on, I had some trainers to change from we all had the same trainers, different sizes, but brand new. So they couldn't get the partial prints, you know, moderate, strong and all that. No, they're all brand new trainers. We knew that before all that moderate print and shit came out. It's just not, it's going to be harder for them to match it. And then underneath, he was all dressed up as a racer. We get unchanged under the underpass. The joy of it was, at the time, I say the joy of it, as we're under the underpass getting changed out of all our stuff, and we've just got our normal clothes on, the arm response are going above us on the underpass. And I remember being under there, and it's just like, I'm going to have to say it was like a mad high that we'd actually got away with it. And I looked into my mate's eyes, I can see all their eyes glinting, you know, and then my one pal's got his stuff off, fucked off up the lanes, he's got all the stuff on his back, so it was all going with one person. So if one of us, right in the Telford area, in the area where it happened, there's cyclists and runners everywhere, just blend in. that's the main thing to do, blend in, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing how far you can get through places with just a vis vest and a clipboard in your hand and a pen, saying morning, morning, before you know it, you're where the cash is.
Yeah.
It's mad. So that was the first one.
How much did you get away with?
Not a lot, to be quite honest.
Uh-huh.
So there was. So I used to go to my dad's and I'd let him know what we was getting up to, because I thought that was the dumb thing to do, and we had that type of relationship. And he's like, son, there's more than one safe. And I'm like, Dad, don't worry about it, man. We know what we're doing, man. We've got this. You know, man, this is our first job, man. Put us on a map, all that fucking stuff you think when you're a kid. Son, there's more than one safe in there. All right, yeah. So he goes in, gets a work, manages to make a little bit of chaos, and then the chaos shuts down, cause the chaos just to and then shut it down straight away, keep nice and calm. Managed to get to the one safe, the only safe that we thought was there, to be quite honest. All the cloth bags are going in, and then there's like bags of money going in, rolled up money, bags in like coins and all that, so that's all going in the bag. Next thing is like a cloth bag that goes in, and it wasn't exactly heavy like coins, it just felt like it had, you know, you've got the cash paper in there, so that goes in as well. Next day, when we all meets up, gets all the fucking fingers out, thinking that we're all bloody hell, we're going to move to the Bahamas and all that type of stuff. 15 years old, you know how it is. The cloth bag was full of, it had all the receipts for everywhere, but then it had the keys to the main post office safe that was in there. So then my dad was right, basically. If we would have took the time to have a look and not been so eager and thinking that we were just that, then we would have been able to clap the money out the main post office safe. But we was only 15, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was that. But pretty much my circle of friends then, it was like birds of a feather. Like, I come from Portsmouth. We had one of our pals that his dad moved down from London that was into cash in transit. Then we had another friend that moved down from another side of London, and we all ended up to be in the same area in the Gombe, all made friends. So I suppose out of 6 of us, 3 of us were going back to a house where it was accepted, crime was accepted.
Yeah.
So then we was bringing out of that house into our circle. So then if you've got 3 out of 6 friends, that's 50%. Doesn't take long before all 6 of you thinking everything's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, so then our learned behaviour then become our learned behaviour in our friendship circle. They're all a little bit dodgy, I'm not going to lie, they all had something, but there was a couple of us where our families were pretty much involved where they were before they moved away.
Yeah. So it's all second generation.
Yeah, second generation.
So ever we want to get away with it for?
I'm going to say, well, at first it came out it was in the papers at first, thought to be a gang of kids, yeah? And then that's the first thing in the paper. And then after that, once I realised, and I had a pop of obviously thought this is a bit more than a gang of kids, it was thought to be a professional gang. And I can remember sitting down with the lads and going, see, told you, we're on it, man. They've called us professional in the paper. That's what you do, you glorify it, don't you, when you're a kid? Buzzing, they said that we're professional, blah, 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 this, that. And then about 4 or 5 weeks later, I got arrested for a robbery charge.
How did your mum take it?
Wow, mum being mum, she's like...
You've made your bed.
Well, yeah, lying it basically. She come to visit me on my first sentence. But then she did say to me, if you ever come to jail again, I'm never ever visiting you. And do you know what? You know, because she used to always say to me when I was a kid, if you carry on, I'm going to send you to the kids' home. Yeah? I'm fucking sick of this. You'll be in there with all your mates. And I go, oh, all right, Mum. And I just keep misbehaving, and she wouldn't send me. So I thought, she'd come and visit me again. She never. She come 97 till come up to 99, and she never ever visited me again in jail. So she stuck to her word on that one, yeah. But yeah, it was literally made your bed, you lie in it.
How was it for you, 15, going to YO?
Truth of it, shit, man. Yeah.
Because YOs are completely different to like men's prisons,
so
isn't it?
I'm 15 years old. At the time, I'm into my boxing a bit, so I'm boxing at a place called Lumley Hall in Madeley. Billy Thomas and Tim were the trainers. I was loving my boxing, I was going running. I was about 9 stone 8. Yeah, so my mum, because I've been in a bit of trouble previously with my hands before, you know, and then the robbery and then the drugs and then all the addiction, that's the order it went in. I've been in and out of court a little bit, ABH, common assaults, all them type of stuff. And I got to court and my mum's gone, wear your school uniform to court, they won't send you down. We've got a report from Billy Thomas saying that, you know what I mean, that you coming through the ranks at boxing and there's the good potential and all that type of stuff. It just needs to be directed properly. So I had all the good reports from everywhere. I got to jail and the judge just said you carried on your violence whilst in society, blah blah blah, this that. You're now in front of me for a more serious charge of robbery, blah blah blah. Give me 2 years. I got to Brinsford in my school uniform, 9 stone 10. I'm in a holding room. I'm the only lad in there from Telford. When I sat there with my school shoes on, I've obviously took my tie off me because they think I'm going to obviously hang yourself on the sweat box. I'm sat there like that, literally. I can remember, I can still smell it now, but that's because I've done so much jail now. And you've got lads that are coming in, meant to be the same age as you. They're 6 foot whatever, full beards on, fucking brand new Nike tracksuits. Well, I got there, whatever it is at the time, it would have been some sort of 110 trainers. They would have had them. I don't think there was shocks about it. If there were, it's the ones with the plastic at the back without before the air bubbles come. I don't even know if shocks were about them. But coming in basically looking like smart, and there's me in my school uniform, and I'm from Telford. I'm not from Wolverhampton. I'm not from Birmingham. It was a fucking tough job, bro. I'm telling you. So I've got a story. So I won't mention his name. I don't think he's around anymore. So I think it'd be disrespectful. I think he's dead. So it would be disrespectful for me to mention his name. But when I first went in, I haven't got a lighter on me because I'm a vapor now. But when you go in, you get strip searched. So straight away, you get strip searched. Mm-hmm. You go in there. I'm 15. Like I'm 45 now. I do shave my head, but I very rarely shave my face. I ain't a hairy person. When I was 15, I literally never had a hair on my fucking body. So I just about fucking got hairs on my balls. So then when you're getting strip searched, you're embarrassed straight away. So then the staff will like, it's an empty pocket, they do all that. And then he takes my lighter, and then he takes the inside of my clipper lighter out. So that's the gut. Yeah. And I said, what's that for, boss? He says, you're not allowed lighters on the wing, but you can have that. No, sir. I would have called him sir. I would have been like fucking hell. So what's that for, sir? He said, that's fair on the wing. The lads will show you what to do. He said, you can get a light with it. I was thinking, fucking I've got no gas. I'm meant to get a light with that. Obviously, you do the cotton boards and light it up and all that type of stuff. So as you're going into Brinsford, you've got one room here where you've just fresh come out of reception, had your strip search, all that. You go into that room, and then you've got another room there where you're having your food, waiting to go on the wing. So I've come out of this room to get my... you go out of this room, have your food, and then you go into that room to get processed onto the wing. So I've come out of this one to get my food, goes up to the servery, goes back in. As I'm going past, I can see some geezer in there, is like, yo, have you got a light? Have you got a light? I'm like, no. I said, boss has given me this flicky thing, though. I said, do you want to borrow that? Thinking I made a friend, man, buzzing. I've only been here for 10 minutes. Slides it under the door. Next thing, comes out, goes to go to the, asks if I can use the toilet. Lets me out to go use the toilet. Goes past that over holding room. I'm looking to see if the lad's in there. I says, any use in that lad who just borrowed my flicky thing? I didn't know at the time, but they called it a wheel. Yeah, I was just calling it a flicky thing because I didn't know. So then any lads said, I can see some lads, you know, because you've got the half doors of the toilets. And he's like this. I'm going, oh, yo. I said, not yo. I said, yo, mate. And that's jail talk, yo. I said, oh, mate. I said, you've got my flicky things. Looked his head up and said, oh, you've been robbed, you Telford dickhead. You ain't getting nothing off me. You fucking move away from the door, blah, blah, blah. This, that. Fucking hell. I went into the cell, back to where I had to go. Sat there and thought, fucking hell, man. I've been here 10 minutes. I've been robbed. Out on the street. No one talked to me like that when I was growing up. I'd be fighting with me and my mates, and we'd have a fight about it. Can't do nothing in here. So I went to straight away within 2 hours of being there. I went to my cell and I was broken. But luckily for me, I had a pub mate from Warsaw. Yeah, and he was a few years older than me. I'll tell you his name afterwards. You probably know him, but he's a few years older than me. He says, what's up, lads? You know, when he walks like, so what's up, lad? I'm like, fuck, I said, I've just been robbed, man. He's like, you, and I mentioned the geezer's name. He's like, that's one of the burger boys, the burger bar lads. You need to be careful with them. If they start now, man, they're going to be bullying you in your whole sentence. Blah, blah, blah. They're known for it in here. There's these, there's that. This is 1997 when all this shit is going on proper out there. Don't know what it's all called in Brum now, but that's what it was at the time, yeah? So then he says, you're going to have to go sort it out. Yeah, so I thought, what do you mean sort it out? He says, you're going to go and have to ask him for it. You know, if you get into a fight, you get into a fight. You can't let him pick on you, man. I thought, well, I understand that if I was on the outside. I ain't got none of my mates with me now. You know, it's all right me protecting and not liking buddies when I got my mates behind me because I was only a kid. So anyway, wakes up in the morning, finds out he's on the bottom left spare, on the bottom right hand pad, so he's right at the bottom. So I've gone in there, opened up the door, and he's there like, doing whatever he's doing. And I've gone, have you got my wheel? And I just know from his body language and everything that he's just going to be telling me to fuck off straight away. So I just pushed the door behind me and I just thought it's like a little corner of a boxing ring, so that's prepped me ready for jail. So I believe it's all been prepping. I had a bit of a fight with him, but I had a good scrap with him and got the better of him. Yeah, I didn't get my wheel because I didn't know where it was, but I just thought, yeah, it's all right. Come out the cell thinking, buzzing. Tried to pick on me. Yeah, I'm all right now. I'm going to be all right here. Gets 2 weeks like that. My man's then got moved onto a wing with all his other pals. I've then having 2 weeks of thinking, ringing up my dad. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, he stole my wheel. I sorted it out, Dad. I didn't let him pick on me. I had a fight with him about it. I've done him in the cell. 2 weeks later, goes into the holding room for a legal visit. Next thing he sees a big, massive hand go over the camera up in the corner. Next thing, people are spitting on my bottoms, saying that I've got these views, and I'm this person and I'm that person, basically chatting shit because I've landed and there's nothing to me and I've got a fucking bald head. So basically they've gone down the race road, but it wasn't the case. They're just saying that because this geezer didn't want to admit the fact that he got beat up in the cell. So he's tried the character assassination thing. Because he has told his mates out there, they're gunning for me. So when I walked into the holding room, I'm already fucked. Because he's like, yeah, that's my man I was on about, blah, blah, blah. So I've got into a little bit of a fight, but it's obvious what's going to happen. There's loads of them, there's only me. So I've ended up assuming a position on the floor and just taking a good fucking kicking. I mean, a proper kicking, a black eye, my nose is done, my lips are done, all that type of stuff. So then that was my introduction to jail, the first 2 weeks on the first sentence. But then what happened is, I was in, out. So then what happened is, when I went in there, I always have been, just been Boovy or Chris from Telford. Nobody's going to remember that name. All these people that jumped me in the cell, they've all got their own little so-called gang names. So they're not named, nobody knows them by their first or their last name. They've got some sort of alter ego or alias. So then, but they keep that all the way through their sentences. So then, 3 years down the line, so I've done a little bit of jail and I've had a few fights and I'm back to my corner and people know that I don't like bullies and know that I will stand and do whatever, and I've made some friends. These people start coming in one by one. So I managed to get most of them back and the lads have got me in the holding room. And then that pretty much, because of what was expected of you, not expected of you, but there is a peer pressure thing. You have a few fights with your hands and people know you can have a scrap with your hands. Then you get into a situation where you think, I might have to use a tool there. Then you use a tool for the first time, then it goes, but he uses tools, man, stay away from it. So then the next time you go use another tool, but you make it to the next severity. So in the end, you end up doing something in jail that then gets you kicked out of a young offenders and you get started up and sent to a man's jail. That was the progression. So violence just followed me, you know.
Yeah.
It was bad, man.
So you did that sentence, 2 years, come out, started selling drugs, you got addicted on crack, and then you took people's trust for granted, we'll say that, started robbing yourself, stealing, hustling, just to feed your addiction and survive.
That's the truth of it,
Yeah, and then how was your violence worsening on the out?
what happened then is, alright, so the truth of it is, when you become an addict and you've lost a little bit of weight and you feel that you're not the person that you used to be, you then feel then that when you get into a violent, any sort of situation where there's violence, you've just got to double prove yourself because of the person that you've become.
Let people know you're still the man.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. So, and then when you get into the environment of thinking, well, these are selling me the drugs, because you don't want to own it yourself. You don't want to admit that you made the choice to take them drugs. So what you do is you start blaming other people. So then I'll be like, well, if they're going to sell me the drugs, and then I've spent all this money this week, and then I ring them up on a Friday and say, is there any chance I can have this on tick? And they say no. Okay, well, I'm going to get someone else to ring you up and I'm going to turn up. And then that's when the violence would happen, because then you wouldn't be going to pay for your drugs. You'd be going to take the drugs, take whatever cash is, and say, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the darky, murky world of it.
So you go into robbing drug dealers, and obviously...
And
drug dealers don't go to the police, they'll come back for you.
Yeah, they do, yeah. So every scar on my body is drug related one way or another. It's either a scar where I've been out sniffing and drinking, or it's a scar where the drugs have been involved, taken, or it's a scar where it's been involved and we've been going and making a move on people that do whatever. Every single scar on my body, there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
It's all drug related. There might be another story to the drug related. Like you might go somewhere and there's a situation happening and you don't agree with the situation, so you stick up for someone. But the reason that you put yourself in that environment is because you're going to rob a drug dealer. Otherwise, you wouldn't see what's going on in there. You know, so someone might be getting bullied in a property where you go to get ready, and then you go there. So it all boils down when you strip it back.
Yeah.
It's all drug related.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like I know that story. Yeah, the hammer in the head.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Literally, it was a nightmare. It was hard, man. That's the most violent incident I've been in, and I had to practice fucking forgiveness there because, like.
Tell the story first. We'll go through the story.
Right, so I've gone round to. I've got out of jail, and I'm trying my hardest not to go back down that road. You know, I don't want to go back to jail, but then I come up to some hardships with money, and I needed to get some more. I didn't need to get some more money, but I put pressure on myself that I needed. Well, I didn't need it, but put pressure on myself. So then I found out about somebody else that was doing county lines. You know, we all know what county lines is. So you got a row of, say, 4 houses. I'm going into the first house to get ready, get my kit ready, got a taser, got your stuff to cover your face and all that type of stuff. Got something just in case you want to keep them away a bit, you don't want them really close to you if they've got something. So I've got a full kit ready. And then I'm moving on that, I'm in this house, I'm moving on the house on the end. So as I've gone into the property to get ready, gone up to the top floor, there's 2 lads there that I know. But they've got a lad there that is basically, they've got him smoking. So they've got him smoking crack because they know that he gets paid at 12 o'clock, you know. So, but this lad, he gets money off the government, but he ain't getting off the government because he's blagging him. He's getting off the government because he needs it. So I don't know the best way to put it, but he's got needs, man, you know. And the needs are that he's got, no, you know, he struggles with certain stuff. He might struggle communicating, for instance, that type of thing, yeah. So then they've basically got him there, knowing, because they found out when his payday is, and the next following morning, give him a couple of pints, and they're trying to bully him.
Letting him up on payday.
Do you know what I mean? Make sure you get to the cash point at 12 o'clock, blah, 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 this, that, and I'm just being horrible to him. So then I've said to him, so it's a 3-strike rule. Me and you have some sort of whatever. So I come to you and say, fucking hell, man. Do you know how we're being at the moment? It's making me feel like this, you know, and it's making me think like this, you know. There's the passive one, yeah? And then you carry on doing it, and then this person carries on being that way. Then you go, you're a little bit more assertive, and you're a bit more up in their face, should we say, without me fucking ranting and raving on camera, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get in their face. And then if that don't happen, you're rolling round. And this is something that I put in place. when I got into my 20s, because I was getting into too much trouble, just being hot-headed all the time, you know, not having them strikes, putting them strikes in place. I found if I put three strikes in place, sometimes I wouldn't get in as much trouble.
Yeah.
You know, you had a bit of fight sometimes, or rolling around, doing whatever.
But you're talking first.
Yeah, exactly.
The best you can.
So that was the start of me realising that the change was happening there, yeah? So then, the first strikes happened, second strikes happened, third strikes come about, but these are two lads that I've grown up with, who are bullying this lad, so they know about the strikes. So they've already clocked that they've had the passive one, they've seen me, and heard me get a little bit more aggy about the situation. So third time, I've gone to stand up, and I'm thinking I've got one here, and there's one sat over the bed over there. I think I'll get this one first, and deal with him, and then fucking I can move on to the one over there. So I tried to have a little bit of think of him. Before I managed to get all out my chair, because he knows what's going on, bam! He's managed to clock me round here, and I thought, fuck, I felt the dig, but I can't remember this lad being that tough when we was growing up. You know, to be fair, he wasn't a tough lad when we was growing up, yeah? I'm thinking, how come I'm feeling his dick so much? I'm getting involved and I'm trying to have a, you know, I'm having a go back. Then I've seen him, he's dropped one of the knuckle dusters on the floor. So he's been prepared, got him in his pockets, come out of him, and then I'm scrapping him, but he's got two dusters on. So I'm thinking to myself, because I'm fucking feeling the punches, I'm thinking, I've got to get him over into the corner of the room. If I can get him in the corner of the room, it's like corner of a ring, innit?
Yeah.
I can go to work on him a little bit, and I've got more of a chance to get him up against the wall. As I'm working my way over there, because the other geezers seen what's going on, and they can see me getting the better of him, he's obviously got something down by the side of him, and it's a claw hammer. Whack! He's hit me square in the head with the claw hammer then. Straight away, and I seen a white flash, I've gone down to my knees. Next thing, I can remember having a little bit more of like a scuffle around, and then I wakes up in the room. Then there's another round of him. I'm thinking I'm only in there for maybe 15, 20 minutes. I was in there for an hour and a half. The rest of it I didn't know about. Then after that round, then I wakes up, I'm in a cupboard. When I wakes up in the cupboard, you've got like the council cupboards, you've got the little bit of light between the two cupboards, because they're not quite flush. Not quite flush. That's coming through. All my t-shirts covered in blood. As I've got out, one side of my head's like really fucking heavy on this side, so I come out, bashed it against the cupboard door, and then the hammers fell out. So you've got this one here, like a little crucifix one there. That was the first one. And then this one, I've got like a semicircle skull, I think it's there somewhere. That's where basically, so you got your skull, so they tried to claw hammer it in my head, but it hasn't, somehow, it's gone between the skin and the skull. So then it's there hanging like on the flappy skin, you know, like if you get like a thorn in your hand or something like that type of thing. And I thought, fucking hell, it's on the floor. What I should have done, really, is pick that up and then gone and fucking for the thingy and gone for another round and give them what they give me at the time, because that's the situation I was in. But then my legs are just gone, you know, and I just know that there's not much in me. By this time I've only got one trainer on. My t-shirt's in 2 bits. I'm covered in blood. At the time I didn't know this until I got to hospital, but I had bilateral mandible fractures in my jaw, a broken nose, all my eyes were done. Yeah, my head was just starting to swell, so it was probably about here. It ended up about this big, massive. The surgeon said to me, as I've come out the cupboard, they've got the cellophane on the floor because they think they have killed me. Do you know what I mean? They're thinking, fucking hell, we're done, we're going to have to get rid of him. But they haven't like thought, oh fuck, get rid of him, let's wrap him up, get him out of the house straight away. They carried on doing what they're doing, smoking. So as a bloody thingy, got to the hospital, and I said, so basically going to stash me on the back of the tracks. And then I would have been back on the train tracks on the estate that I'd grown up in. Oh, what happened to Boovy? Oh, he got killed in that house, didn't you hear about it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then what I had to do is, there was some bad shit that was going to happen because of that. And like, there's a whole different loads of stories to that, but luckily it didn't happen, and I'm still here with my freedom and all that type of stuff. But when I got to the hospital and I come round, and they told me about sometimes I struggle still now with T's, F's and S's, because what happens is when it does get broke, and I've had a few scraps since, so it's not a glass jaw. Do you know what I mean? It does hold up, but you either have an underbite or an overbite, because they had to take the 2 back wisdom teeth out and then put the plates in. What it does then it gets my bites like that now. So now sometimes, because it's like that there, I struggle with it sometimes T's and F's and have to think about the
Yeah.
word that I'm saying. Anyway, the surgeon said the only way to get a bilateral mandible fracture on the same, more or less same place, afterwards I let it feel, you can feel where the plates where that goes up in a ditch like that on both sides, yeah? Is by your head being on a hard surface and being hit with something hard. So basically, they had my head on the floor and they're smashing me with hammers whilst I'm unconscious. Do you know what I mean? So that was probably, out of all the situations that has happened, that's probably, without the actual being worked on, because there's been a couple of times where I've been worked on by paramedics.
Yeah.
But in a situation like that where it's not been me taking any sort of pills, potions, the closest it's been.
Yeah.
It was close. Man.
It's scary to think people can carry out that much violence and then just carry on as normal.
Literally, when I came out for the third, when I wanted to have the third round, I was conscious of them, what they were doing. They were smoking still on the stairs. They got someone in the cupboard, somebody that they've grown up with. Yeah, I was living that life. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but it's still someone that you shared fucking memories with. Do you know what I mean? Still someone that you've pinched a Mars bar from the shop with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now you got him stashed in a cupboard, and yeah, it gets me thinking about it. Because do you know where my head went with it? I thought them pair were going to take me away from my family. They're going to take me away from my mum, my dad, my kids. And when your head goes there, the horrible stuff, dark stuff comes to your mind. You know. So then, luckily for me, I got locked up soon after that, and that's when I started practicing forgiveness. And then luckily for myself and for these people, I forgave them for what happened, because you know, it's just one of those things. I was living that life. I was either live by the sword, you die by it. Simple as, and I very nearly did.
You did. So I know you spent 14 years in prison across different sentences. How have you seen prisons change over time? Because obviously now you got the private prisons, like you was at Oakwood's.
Yeah.
I think you was there the same time I was.
Yeah, I think I might have been, yeah.
I was there 16 to 22.
I was on beach though, I was a ghetto.
So we was there together. How have you seen prisons change? Because now, like, if you go to prison, there's so much potential to better yourself with alcohol courses, drug courses, or like education. There's so much better now.
I think I've got two views on that. So then I think personally, on the side of courses and stuff like that, if you want to be a better person and you want to come out a better person, I believe the courses are there. But I've got a passion and a belief that prison staff can't do that alone. They have to be working side by side with lived experience. You know, there has to be some sort of co-production there. Co-production with the staff, then learning off some inmates that have been to jail and then come back in. Not when they've just been out like 3 or 4 months, when they've actually shown their worth, and then they get back in there. So, but I do believe you can get educated. If you're doing a long time, you can come out with universities. You can get clean. You can become a healthier person. You know, you can build your relationships on the phone with the people that you broke your relationships. You can get drug free. You know, you can find faith like I did, or just find yourself and become a better person. But do you know what we do as a lot of prisoners? What we do when we get released, as soon as you get to the gate, you forget about all that. I say to the lads that I know that have been to jail, I say it's work in, work out. So if you got clean on the inside, then why, before you've even got to that gate on discharge, are you thinking about scoring? Or you've just spent 2 years in there clean, it's brought goodness to your table.
Yeah.
If you've been on the phone to your family and your friends saying how sorry you are for what you've done and you're never going to fucking be that person again, why when you get out don't you knock their front door? Why you just go off with your own group of mates and think, I'm free now. If you have somehow found gym as your safe place in jail, and you've shed weight, or weight you wanted to shed, or you've built a body that you wanted to have, why when you get out do you go gym once and they go, it don't matter, I'm free now? If it's working on the inside, it works on the outside. Yeah. If you can use a transferable skill on how your mind used to work in crime and somehow put that into goodness, you can do the same within jail. It's a transferable skill.
Yeah.
You take what's worked in there, you just bring it to a different environment, you're free now, you know?
Yeah.
But I have got a thingy about, I think when fair enough, we've been through the system a little bit and all that, and then you get to a con's jail by the time you're 21, yeah? Or 20, whatever. If you've been a fucker, you'll get started up. But I think when kids go to jail, they need to go to jail, pal. I'll be honest with you. I don't mean for what they've done. I mean, obviously do mean for what they've done, but not in that sense.
They need a punishment.
Fucking hell, man. They're landing, they've got 5 pairs of trainers, they've got a PlayStation 5, they've got all their best garms, you know what I mean? They've got a phone in their cell, yeah?
It's hard, isn't it? Like, it's hard finding that middle ground. Like, they're trying to teach you skills, transferable skills you can go on the out, but at the same time, you can also order off JD and Amazon.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Or you get there, your £50 canteen. No, why not get there? I'm taking your trainers, not in like that said, but the staff. I'm taking your trainers, I'm taking your tracksuits. This is the tracksuit you wear, the same as everyone else. You're not allowed to wear trainers. You wear these shit flickers. And if you want entertainment, you can talk out your window. But if I catch you talking out your window after this time, you get punished for it.
Yeah.
Not all this fucking. You can play on your bloody games and all that. It's too easy.
I think they need to instill discipline, but still give the transferable skills.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and that's why it's. I'm telling you now, if you went to jail and you got bread and water and you had to shit in a bucket, you'd think twice about going there again.
Right. Oakwood's got underfloor heating in
Yeah,
cells.
well, no, yeah, don't. Summertime's a nightmare. They don't turn it off in the summer.
Perfect.
Everyone's wrapping their pipes up. Yeah,
Brewing the hooch though.
Yeah, you know. You've got heat all around it.
Yeah.
I've had some good hooch in jail to be fair.
What's the worst thing you've seen in prisons?
In what way?
Violence. And people, not even violence what they're doing to each other, what they're doing to themselves, because there's an incredible amount of self-harm.
The worst thing that I didn't actually see it happen, but the worst thing that I had to be, because I was on the bio team, to clean up afterwards, and he was a Telford lad, and he was a really good lad. He was basically, he was a visits orderly, so we got to empty the bins in the visits, and he got some pressure off some serious people to be picking stuff up out of the bins and that, and he wouldn't do it. So then these people started to put pressure on his family on the outside, and he couldn't handle the pressure. So what he done is, he's gone into his cell after they've done the first check, cut his 2 femorals on the inside of his legs, put tracksuit bottoms on, and then put jeans under the tracksuit bottoms, and then got inside his duvet, you know, so then that's going to soak up a lot of it. So then by the time they did find him, he bled out. To clean that up, it's horrible. One of the shittest things I know that I know, I've been on that landing when it happened. Like I've been involved in loads of violent shit, but nothing compared to this. Like, you know, it's jail, isn't it? And violence is fucking all part of it. But
yeah.
There was a lad that so-called got into debt on the outside, and these lads have found out about it on the inside, so there's a hit out on him. So then they've gone and grabbed this lad, pulled him in the cell, beat the shit out of him. He's then getting beat up that bad. He's tried to claw himself out of the cell, and then he's more or less got through the door. Because one of the lads that's doing him in wants to keep him in there, because they've been told to give him a good kick in. Ran up, kicked the door shut, and it slammed on his head. Killed him dead there and then. But then the worst of it is, they got the wrong person in the cell. So it wasn't even the geezer that had a hit out on him. It was someone that was not innocent because he's in jail, but innocent in that incident.
In that party,
that party. So that was pretty bad. And fucking hell, there's a few, man. When I was young, when you were in Brinsford, so that's would have been my first sentence. It was the first time I actually had to witness that, and it's like, the thing's gone off, they go around closing all the flaps, they forgot to close my flap. So my flap's open, all the stuff, everyone bang up, all that type of stuff. They've gone to the cell opposite me, opened the geezer's cell, and he's there with a head like a basketball, because he's just hanged himself, pissing shit all down the inside of his leg. You know, I know I put myself there because obviously the decisions I made and all that type of stuff. You shouldn't be seeing that shit when you're 15.
It's hard, like the prisons are hard because, like I said, I was there 6 years and you got lads with going in with mental health issues as it is, you know what I mean? You got lads with schizophrenia, bipolar personality disorders.
Yeah.
You got people like that to deal with, like the mental health services inside the prison need to deal with. Then you got lads who are developing depression while they're in there because they're missing the kids. It could be the first sentence, it could be whatever. And then you got lads who are just cutting up because they're in debt or because they want a vape or they want a bit of burn.
Can I ask you a question?
Go on.
You know, when using because you shared that you bipolar and stuff like that. Did you find it hard to see lads in there like that, knowing they were suffering and maybe there wasn't the right treatment for them?
Yeah, it's hard. Like I said, you get lads then who are self-harming every 15 minutes, doing little superficial cuts because they want to vape or they want to fucking, they can't do the basic or they want a wing job and they're doing them kind of things. And you got lads who are suffering in silence who need the help, and it's all just diverted to fucking time wasters.
Yeah, basically the 15-minute jobbers.
Yeah, just because they can't handle a bit about it and go up, or they're debted up, they want moving.
Ain't it?
Yeah, so it's hard, like, because people do struggle, whether they're in prison or not, they should get the help.
Yeah,
like I said, with drug addiction, perhaps they're taking drugs because there's underlying issues, and same with them, perhaps they're committing crime because he's got untreated bipolar and schizophrenia.
And then they just get sent there because it's easier than sending them to get assessed. And
to giving them the help action they need.
And because they don't know how to think either their emotions and their thoughts and their feelings, they're expressing it in a different way. And because that expression, the way that we express 9 times out of 10, our first thing we go to is anger. And that anger causes violence, and that violence creates a sentence.
Yeah.
Send him away, doesn't need help, he's just a violent bastard. What
Yeah.
about actually finding out what's going on in his head?
Why is he being violent? Why is he hitting out?
Okay.
Well, last 2 questions about you before we're going to move on to the mental health side of things.
Let's do this.
So, the beauty scar.
Yeah.
Tell us the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I am always smiling, aren't I?
You are.
So that is that was basically county lines again, but that was before the last incident I just spoke to. Got out of jail, was playing catch up. So you get out of jail, I need to play catch up where people are doing this, people are doing that. Got released to a certain area. Well, I got released to Shrewsbury. That's the only place that would have me. Telford wouldn't have me back there. Found out about some lads. Got some information about some lads from a certain city that were doing the doing county lines. Got told about the property they're at and what day the money was going back to the city. Didn't manage. Well, turned up there. Got my kit. Tasered the first one at the door. His body functions have gone, so it's pissed. Tasered
You're
the first one.
prepared for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah. So you taser him at the door, you can get quite close at the door, as long as you can get it open. Get the door, taser him, he's obviously, he's pissed himself and that, he's on the floor. And I see one making his way up the stairs, so I think, right, I'm going to follow that one then, and I'm going to get that one and find out where they can. But he's already picked up the bag because he knows what's going on at the front door, ready to jump out the window, down onto the little roof bit, and then down, then he'd be down onto the main floor. As he's gone through the window, the bag won't fit through the window. Bags fell in the bath, and then the bag's full of all cash and drugs. You know, there's a lot of money. There's tens of thousands of pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a lot of drugs. So I'm like buzzing at the time because that's the place where I was. Done it now. Now we can move forward. We can go back. Blah blah blah. Get back to the manor and to go live fucking happily ever after and all that. No, there was money. There was drugs. So we went partying for 6 days on the same manor. Fucking all sorts of fucking hedonism and everything going on. Just crazy stuff. I then need to come down because I've been up there for days and days and days. Goes to the same lady that put me on about the graft. Says to her, rings her up because I've got a number. Rings her up, says, do you know anywhere I can get some valleys and some weed and all that? Yeah, no problem. Come down to blah blah blah. I can sort it out for you, baby. Not knowing that the firm that I moved on, I found out that some information must have come from her. Terrorised her family, chopped all her bloody whatever sister's hair off and everything, made she had long hair, chopped it all off and said, look, if Boovy comes back on the manor, we need to know about it, he's not taking the fucking piss, blah blah blah. When it goes to pick up these valleys and this weed, gets to the back of some flats where you have the big bins, the big red ones that everyone can chuck their thing.
Yeah.
It's like in the bottom of the low rises, isn't it? Like a low rise flat. Goes in there. When I walks in, I've got a bloke over there in the one corner, fully north faced out, can't see his eyes, can't see nothing. Got his hands in his jacket, like in the front of his hoodie, like that. Yeah. Looked over to this side, it's exactly the same. Peaky hat on, snood, can't see nothing. He's got his hands down his pants. But say you're this one over here in this corner, so that's you. No, I'm that person, you're me. I'm looking at you, but I'm like this. So I'm letting you know someone's behind you.
So you're looking over my shoulder.
I'm looking over your shoulder. Because of that, I've got like a, what's going on here? You know, as soon as I walked in, it's already fucking dodgy, booky, whatever you want to call it, yeah? Because I've got these two geezers in the corner, but they're quite far away. So they're stood off, just in case whatever happens here, for them then to come in and be the backup. So I've seen a flash like that, jump round the front of me, banged me. Well, what I thought banged me, because it felt like a dig. It didn't hurt at all, to be honest, because it was so sharp. But he hasn't. You get them, you get the carpet cutters that are like a bird's talon, like a hooked one.
Yeah.
It's one of them. So he slashed me there, gone straight through. No, straight through there. And then I won't do the accent, because you obviously know that to do the accent is a giveaway. But it says, you've been striped there, booty lad. We all know who you are now. So coming to our account, taking our money. You won't be coming to know more. And I thought, striped? What the fuck? Striped? I thought he just picked me. And then but before that's happened, I've gone to make a move to get him, and then that's when the surgeon said that that little bit there would split the fast.
Yeah, jolt.
Split, yeah. But the bad thing about it is, not the bad thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a real thing. Because of the life that I'd lived previously to that, so this happened when I was 35, about 10 years ago. So, because of the life that I'd led leading up to that, so there was a lot of violence, there was a lot of addiction, there was a lot of drug-related crime, there was a lot of victims, and I pissed a lot of people off, and all this and all that. They were told, this firm were told, to cut my throat, which I wouldn't have been able to stop bleeding. Especially, I just wouldn't have been able to do it. I had a hard job stopping, there was a lot of blood just from there, believe it or not. I had to swab up, take my top off, swab up and all that. Cut my throat, chuck some drugs down, chuck a bit of cash down. No, the police would have looked at it as a drug-related death.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They would have looked into it because it's their job to look into it. They would have been like, it was bound to happen. Look at the life he's leading.
Yeah,
it's either going to be an overdose or some sort of violence drug-related with Chris. Simple as. And luckily for that, well, not luckily, but then after that, I got mine. That was one of the first Osmond warnings for whatever reasons, you know, because there's been an incident and this and that. I was in and out of the hospital within 6 hours. Obviously, these three members from the other firm were out there police station. We were in the same amount of time. The police have come down to see me at the Princess Royal Hospital in Telford. I've got a couple of lads there that are known to be dumb, and if they ever do see this, they know what I'm on about. They were involved with life. So the police know that we're putting something together. And the plan was just, obviously, to take a bottom of a leg, you know, retaliation, all that. Even though it was my doing, I went and took their money, and I'll get to that in a minute, but like, I still wanted to think, no, they can't do that to me, I know that. So then the police came, basically told them to go do their job, cut some nonsense, sex cases, fuck off, get out of the hospital, you know, giving it all the ego thing, all that type of stuff. But then, when my mates left, and they were going to get whatever for us to be able to make a move, I thought, nah, doing the police's job here. And what would happen is, they've released me, they knew I was getting out of the hospital, they've released them lads at the same time, thinking, right, we are, because of the people that will come up to see me because they know what we're like, we're going to retaliate, and that will send a message to that town, if you come down and do county lines, this is what happens. And then I would have been locked up for double figures for discharge of a firearm and fucking taking the bottom of someone's leg off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I was onto it. But when I had time to properly think about it, and I don't mean on the outside, when I got to jail, the truth of it is, these lads were in their 20s, yeah, 24, 25, all that. I was 10 years older than them, going and moving on. Even though they're from another town and they're doing whatever they're doing, they're making good money and all that, or good money, or how it's looked in that life. If someone would have come to my front door when I was that age and done that to me and my friends, then I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So you got to like sort of fucking own it a little bit, you know. So then there was some conversations that happened between phone calls, and it just ended with, look, if I ever do come for you, then I just want the same treatment. You was in and out of the police station. There was no charges, you know. So if I do come for you, then I just want the same treatment. Then it went from that to, if it does happen, I just want the same treatment, to me then thinking more deeply about it and owning the situation a little bit more, to them forgiving them.
Yeah.
I know that sounds mad. To them forgiving them.
Yeah, like that scar's the consequence of your actions in it, and do you know what I mean? You fucked around and you found out. That's how it is.
And there's been a few situations where people have been whatever done on my hands, you know. And like the way I look at it is, even if I'm in a bad mood, if you catch me on my left side, I'm always fucking smiling now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. At first, I had a little bit of an issue about the scars, a lot of stitches, it's your face, and yeah, everyone's going to see it and all the rest of it. But now I'm like, it's a smile. I could have a lot worse one. It could be upside down. I look miserable all the time.
Can't change it, can ya?
It's quite neat as well, you know. Still got no feeling all there though. But
Yeah.
it's alright. Cut it sometimes, shaving, but it's alright, man.
Like I said, mate, you can't change it. You got to own it, in ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big thing in life.
So you're in and out the life, fucking obviously catching up with you. You got the scar across the face. You get a hammer in the head twice, several times. Then why'd you get out the life?
I got out of the life because I realised that I didn't just have 9 lives of a cat. I had a bag of cats, and that bag was full, and none of them cats had no lives. So if each cat's got 9 lives, I'd already been so.
You was on borrowed time.
Literally, bro. You know, so cardiac arrest, respiratory failure. Yeah, I've been slashed, been stabbed in my neck, and fucking. There's been a couple of drug overdoses. Yeah, there's been ICU 3 times, and that's just the stuff that's happened to me. It's a whole different podcast to talk about stuff, and we've done all that in my early podcasts, all the fucking craziness that's happened. I just knew, you know. There had to be a time to make a change, you know. And then it's been on the other podcast, but then the story that I told you about the cupboard and that was somebody, they actually told me that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So then when it did happen, I was like, what? He told me this was going to happen. You know, he's a religious man.
Yeah.
So then I went back to jail, got another Osman warning, went back to jail. This gentleman was still there. And then I went down the chapel to trade some fucking contraband. Ended up going in there. They're singing, he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the... And it reminded me of being at school when I was happy, when I had the Lord in my life. I've always been a Christian, but then I went wayward for fucking years and become the devil's puppet. So then what happened is, the guy who had the premonition about me had now gone from a barber to the chapel orderly. And he said, do you want to give your life to the Lord, Chris? I said, I fucking do, bro. Not exactly what he said, but there was a bad violent incident, like he said. And then what happened is, I then went to my cell, and he said, when I get to the cell, he says, I want you to pray and ask the Lord for one thing. Yeah, he said, that's the first thing you've got to do when you get back to your cell. You just give your life to the Lord. So I got there, and I prayed about awareness. I wanted to know how I kept ending up in the prison cell, how I kept ending up coming to jail, how I kept saying, why does it keep happening? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? You know. And what he done is, he gave me the awareness. And he got me, he didn't come down on a white cloud, he didn't have fucking 20 horses with him, he didn't speak like that. I just knew what he was telling me, yeah. And he gave me the awareness of all my victims, all the people, you know, that I've hurt, as well as myself. I know I'm a victim, but I'm on about the other victims.
Yeah.
Give me the awareness of all the chaos and carnage I've caused, all the times I've been deceitful, all the times I've done false promises, all the times that I would have stolen off of people and pulled moves on people and just been that person, to the point where I was like, fuck, man. And it was a dark place for about 4 or 5 months, to the point where my little bin was full of letters where I wanted to write to people to say sorry, but then I'd end up taking that bin out in the morning and emptying it in the big bin because it's just full of screwed up paper. I'd get my phone, because we've got phones in jail now, and I'd type in a number to be able to ring someone that's on my phone list to say, can you just tell this person? Can you just tell this person? I felt fucking terrible. But then I couldn't put the last number in. Yeah? Stuff like that. And then to the point where it was in my dreams, it fucking consumed me, man, for like I said, for about 4 months. To the point that was the first time when I thought, I can't do this. Yeah? So then it was that way. But that was like a thing to me to say, a release more than anything. Yeah. But then after that, I realised what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to own it. He wasn't going to do nothing for me that I could do for myself. He wasn't going to come down and fix me when he knew I had it in me to fix myself. What he wanted me to do is to own the person that I was, and not just to say, I own it, to feel it. To sit there and to feel that person that you was. To feel the decisions that you made, for you not to make them again. So then I started delving into my Bible quite intensely. Like it was like a bang up, right, Bible out, hour and a half. That's just for ages. And then I got to the part, what I said to you earlier about sorrows and joy. I was like, fucking what? You turn my sorrows into joy. And then again, it came. And it didn't come on a white cloud. He didn't come up with 20 horses and a big deep voice and a big grey beard and white hair. I just knew. He said, I can turn your sorrows into joy, but it's not going to be your joy. And then, went more deeply with it. It was a process. And then, in between all this, I'm thinking, how long did it take me to make all these decisions to get in jail? 6 minutes of decisions for 14 years in jail? I thought, what the fuck? I need to get out. I had a passion that I wanted to let the younger generation know about this. I wanted to let them know what 2-second decisions can bring to your life. What a difference it can make if you just take 30 seconds instead of taking 2 seconds. It can have a big impact on your life. So I got out as my big passion. I said, Lord, if you help me to be able to do this, and you give me the same amount of time I've been a sinner to give back, oh man, I'll be your servant. I'll go out there and I'll be your servant, man. You equip me, I will be your servant. I will be your fucking labourer, basically. Yeah. And so then what happened is I got my talks into the schools, part of the curriculum about crime rehabilitation punishment. I'm like, nice one, boss. Thanks, man. That's what I got down on my knees and I prayed for. But then stuff started happening then. I managed to get to my probation all the time. All my family relationships were getting better. I found out fucking 8 weeks after being out that my son was 2 streets down. The only reason he never rang me before was because he expected me to go to jail. Then when I started speaking to him, he then told his younger brother, oh, Dad's still out. Boom, family relationships were done. Where I got put when I got out of jail, it's a straight walk to probation, it's a straight walk to gym, it's a straight walk to my church, all within 15 minutes walk. Yeah. So even on a bad day, if I can't get a lift, I can still get to the places where basically what are going to send me back to jail if I don't go. You know, just work in, work out. And then from that, I got called to the table of a men's mental health group by a brother called Ricky Buffer. Absolutely amazing guy. And he said, call me down to a river. He's gone, well, at first he's like, yeah, we're doing these cold dips, man, down at the river at 6 o'clock in the morning. Fancy coming down. Not like that, but just blasé like that. Like, it's a normal thing to do. I'm like, fuck that, so they ain't getting me down there, bloody whatever time. Next thing, bloody, however, I can't remember how long, but however long it took me to get me to the river, he's got me to the river. And then when I got down there, there's a few other lads, not many others, but it's really good lads down there. Really good lads. The next thing, we're all in there, we're getting in cold water, having a chat and all that. And the next thing, there was an idea that we wanted to be able to give back. It like sort of like organically happened from Ricky. It was his idea, you know. And he was like, we need to do something in the community for men's mental health. And the next thing I said, well, I didn't say, I don't know how it went, but there was the idea from Ricky. You got to build a warrior. And I says, all right. Then I says, what are we building this warrior for? I said, we need the warrior to take us forward. I says, how do we build a warrior then? He says, we need the heart. I says, all right then. I said, the heart. And he said, what else? I said, I'll let you know. He said, we need the heart first, so I'm going to be the heart. He says, but then the heart needs a warrior to put it in. So he says, well, I'm going to put the heart into a lad called Lee Stevens. And he says, but then that heart and that warrior, they need a spirit. And that's where you come in. He says, you're going to be the spirit that goes in that. And then it was all amazing. And still is amazing now. They're absolutely smashing it, to be quite honest. And they're creating safe spaces for men. Then what happened is, we lost Ricky, man. We was in the business of men's mental health, and then we lost the heart of the movement. And then I believe what happened then, some people have different opinions. This is what I believe. When the heart went, what was left then was the spirit and the warrior, you know, and that heart is instilling a bit of both of us, but the spirit and the warrior didn't really see eye to eye. So the warrior went off being a warrior, and the spirit went off being the spirit, you know. And then from that, another men's mental health group happened, the Breath of Life. That's what we're getting up to now.
Yeah.
And we create safe spaces for them. But the truth of it is, like, there wouldn't be no primal instincts, and there wouldn't be no Breath of Life if there wasn't no Ricky at the start of it. You know, for instance, the talking circle, it's a massive part of Breath of Life. It's a massive part of Primals. But where did we get that idea from? Me and Ricky, we went to a talking circle with a Man Then Meet Up movement from Wolves. Amazing, another amazing men's mental health, you know, group, fellowship, brotherhood. And we sat down on a Ricky with them, and we're passing a stick round. And every time a stick comes to you, you get to talk. Everybody else shuts up. There's no judgment, there's no partiality. They're very faith-based as well, you know, like Breath of Life is.
Yeah.
On the way down, some mad stuff happened on that fucking weekend for us, like, you know, just signs and that. So it's a special place sometimes. On the way down, me and Ricky are like, we need to do this on the manor. We need to get this in Telford. We can, and then boom, before you know it, there's the foundation, the talking circle. So then, when the difference of opinions happened and people went their separate ways, that would be the first thing that I'd want to bring to any men's mental health group, is the foundation. Not just because it's a dumb thing to do, but because I used to sit there every single Thursday night. Sometimes it was meant to be finishing at 8 and we'd be there till 9, half 9, because it's just got deep with Ricky. So when I'm sat there, whether it be at a talking circle or wherever, I've got a bit of Ricky there with me, you know. And now what we do is we create safe spaces for men through lived experience. You know, people go on about lived experience, it's a big buzzword and all that type of stuff, but I believe we got something better to bring to the table, and it's called lived experience, because our lads are literally going through stuff and still giving back on a daily basis. We've got a few safe spaces. We've got Forest and Fellowship. We've got Unload Uplift. Forest and Fellowship is bacon sandwiches, coffees, teas, banter, roaring fire, Saturday morning down by the river. You know, all the lads come together, have a bit of banter. We've got the talking circle, Unload Uplift, which is deep. You can share light, you can share darkness. There's a few little stipulations, rules, whatever you want to call it, that we stick to, but this is to make sure it all runs smoothly. No judgment, no partiality, no resentment. We've got another space called Plant and Prosper, allotment space, where they can come down with their families, their kids and all that type of stuff, grow plant seeds, watch the seeds grow, and at the same time have community. We've got another one called Trek and Tranquility, where we go out up into the bloody, find some sort of route somewhere and we get together. As well as that, we hold the safe spaces where all the families can come together, because we're more than aware that if the man's suffering at home, then there's probably some kids or a wife or a girlfriend or even a boyfriend. You know, it might be a boyfriend, but someone else is suffering somewhere if that man is really suffering. Yeah. So then what we try to do is we have spaces where we bring everyone together, so then they can get to see the people that are around them that are enabling the change. Yeah. And I never thought that would have happened in my life, you know, to be able to do that. And but then it sort of all makes sense. So let's just say, with me having my faith, if the Lord did lower down his rope and pull me out of danger, that is why I've survived everything that I've survived. And that's why he's empowered me to own stuff. That's why he's empowered me to be truthful. That's why he's empowered, unless I'm in the police station, I'd have to go, no comment. But he's empowered me to be forgiving. He's done all that for me to be able to be in this space and be a real person, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I believe he's done, and that's what we're getting up to.
That's
It's fucking amazing.
You've had lived experiences, a lot of trauma, and then you flipped it all around, accountability, own them actions, and now you're guiding others through your experiences. It's a good thing what you're doing.
When you bring everyone together with their different experiences, that's the power. That's what we say, we move as one body. There's no dictatorships, it's pure relationships on all different levels.
Yeah.
Brother, you've had some amazing guys on this on your podcast. Like Marcus has been and done a few things with us. Portman, amazing guy, life warrior. We've had Ryan Whitehead, he's a member at Breath of Life, another life warrior. Matt said he's come down to one of the talking circles. All these people, they're the type of people that make a difference on a daily basis, you know. And I'm just thankful because it's a CIC company, so we don't chase after funding and all that type of stuff. We probably could if we wanted to, but what we're doing is working, and yeah, it does cost a little bit of money. But we've got lads in it that work, lads that don't work, lads that have done alright, lads that haven't. So if we come together at one body, everyone's alright.
Yeah.
You know, so we can afford. We have had just Ryan, he's just raised his bloody how many thousands of pounds, running from Aberystwyth to bloody, from Telford to Aberystwyth. And then we've got another facilitator who's got something, Phil Clear, he's got something in the pipeline, which is going to be another feat. And it's all in aid of men's mental health. So, you know, we got the year's anniversary coming up soon. We'll put something on for that. But it's not going to be all whistles and bells and whistles and fucking ego and pride. Just be a nice little space somewhere where they can bring their families, they can bring their bloody kids and all that, you know.
Yeah.
And just everyone get together. And then hopefully then there'll be another year and another year and another year, and hopefully it gets out there. And then one of my visions is for like all these mental health companies, to all men's mental health companies. I'm not thinking from any others, but that's what we're in the thing you're doing. All coming together and all learning from each other. None of this, oh, we're better than you, we're better than you. This is what we do, this is what we do. What happens if a little bit from them all can help everyone?
Yeah.
And we all work together to fucking make a difference. The more safe spaces that are popping up, the more chance there is saving the likes of me and the likes of you. Suicide is the biggest killer in men. Yeah, it's not any cancers. It's not bloody getting right. Not a car accident. It's fucking suicide. And why? Why is it fucking suicide? Because we're brought up and we're taught as men not to be able to talk about our thoughts and our feelings. You know, and messages are absorbed differently depending on the person presenting it. So for instance, if you've got someone you might perceive them to be a certain way, but then they come with a bit of truth and a bit of ownership, and they say, actually, I've been there, bro. It makes a big fucking difference.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Why do you think men ain't talking and opening up?
Because it's not fucking manly, because we've learnt from our granddads and our great-granddads.
Yeah.
You know, and they see what they see it is when you talk, all of a sudden you're putting blood into a water full of sharks. Yeah, I think when you surround yourself with the right people, you know, sometimes people in relationships are a stepping stone to find that. You know, because you might have, you know, if you can share stuff at the right table, don't just mean a table like this. Your table might be out in the woods and there might be 5-6 people walking around. That's what I mean by table. There's no partiality, no judgment, none of that. Obviously, certain stuff, you know, like there's certain things that you can't go into Breath of Life if you've done certain stuff.
Of course, some stuff's unforgivable. Yeah,
there you go. And like some of the shares in the talking circle, they're deep about stuff. I've chose to share about stuff that's happened to me when I was a kid, not but with mum and dad's hands, but you know, someone that knew the family, and I've had to share that. So we ain't about to have people come into the group that have been involved with that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Goes
with
without
loads
saying.
of unstable men, you know,
Yeah.
that it just wouldn't work.
Mhm.
But anything else, you come sit at the table, man. You know, it's just the way it is. It says, I'm gonna have to say it. It says in the Bible, if you do anything to any of the little ones, it is better for you to have a millstone around your neck than to be judged by the Lord. And do you know why that give me comfort? Because I've tried to track down the person that done something to me. I've tried my hardest. I can't find him for shit. Yeah, I can't. I've tried. I just want to know. Because I'm more thinking, what did they get up to after that? Did they go on to do other stuff?
Yeah.
And they're not getting found out. But then it's just comforting to know that even if they do think they got away with it, when they get up there, they're not getting through there. They're getting a big old stone put round their neck and chucked to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And that gives me comfort.
That's where they deserve to be.
Yeah, amen, brother.
Fuck, yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Right.
know, you know.
So, what I'd like to finish up on,
Go on.
I asked this everyone.
Okay. Sorry, it's been a long podcast.
No,
You know what I'm like.
I enjoy it. I know
Yeah.
you look. So, you sat here today,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
with your clear conscience, you know, your outlook on life.
Mm.
You can go back to 15-year-old you, sat in that sweatbox
Good.
or that holding room. What would you say to yourself?
Fucking hell, man. Do you know, the truth of it, I would have took notice at school, and when I had a bit of passion when I was a kid, I would have fed it more. So with my boxing, I would have fed my boxing more, and then if I would have fed that more, I wouldn't touch no drugs. Hopefully, I know they get a lot later on,
Yeah,
but you know, I wouldn't have touched no drugs.
follow your passion.
Follow your passion, and just find your purpose, man. You know, sometimes you feel that your purpose is to be around certain people. It's not.
Yeah, don't be a sheep.
Nah, man, it's not about. Well, we haven't been put on the earth like your eyes ain't the same colour as mine. You're fucking a lot bigger than me, obviously. But you know what I mean. We're not the same. So why do we all want to be the same? You're not
Yeah.
unique. We're all unique, original, fucking individual. That's how we've been made. You know, so when you start getting into the worldly stuff, oh, they think this, they think that, I should be this way, I should be that way. That's the world, man. You know, it's not about that. It's about what you got in here and here and that. You just got to, it boils down to have the right thoughts. Them thoughts will lead to the right action, and that action can lead to the right direction, which is life. If you have the bad thoughts, they lead to a bad action, and that leads to strife and maybe life in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we all wake up with the same thing in the morning. Most people. So we wake up with a breath and a beat, and we're all mobile. So we got 2 feet. What I say is, we got the same ingredients this morning. Let's get moving. You got a breath, you got a beat, and you got 2 feet. But everybody, you know, they want the fucking, they want the Ferrari, they want the mansion. But you got a breath, you got a beat, and you got the 2 feet. Get moving, you can get it, and it doesn't have to involve crime. It just means it's going to be a bit harder.
Yeah. Mate, I've said this in the past, people turn social media on, they think they need to have a way of life, they need to look a certain way, they need to live a certain way. And yeah, some people do earn them things, but you ain't earning them things overnight.
No.
That's through waking up every morning and hard work.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
1% better every day.
Yeah, every single day. Every single day. And if you get up a little bit earlier in the morning, so say like, my body clock's 5 because of the system's done that. And I am thankful for it. But if you get up at 5 o'clock every single morning, that equates at the end of the year to 728 hours. That's basically a month, an extra month. So if you get up earlier and do them things in the morning before everyone else has done them, i.e. gym, a little swim around the house, do some stuff that's going to make it nicer when you come home, or just doing a few little things for a couple of hours, gets to the end of the year and you go, fucking hell, I've had a shit month. We still had a good year. Because them 728 hours equate to a month. So if you're getting up that little bit earlier and living that little bit longer life, you can literally still have a bad year and have a good year.
Yeah.
So early bird catches a worm.
No, I agree. Robert Boothie, anything to finish on, mate?
No, brother, thank you for the podcast.
No, thank you for coming. I've been looking forward to this.
Just I know I'm a talker, but you know, it's just the way I am. about stuff.
Passionate.
Yeah, you know how it is. Thank you for the invite, brother. Gentlemen.
Boofy, thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to From Rock Bottom. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe, like and share. It really helps us keep doing this work and bringing these stories to light. You can also follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and ways to get involved in the conversation. Most importantly, if you're struggling right now, please don't suffer in silence. Reach out, talk to someone, seek support. You are not alone, and you are absolutely worth life. Take care, keep fighting, and we'll see you in the next episode.